What's doing, everybody? I'm Alec. Thank you for watching First Class Fatherhood, and today's guest is a 7-time Pro Bowler who played 11 seasons for the New York Jets at center, Nick Mangold, who also happens to make a banging barbecue sauce, of which I'll be giving away 2 jars. Right here is my favorite, the OG spicy barbecue sauce. I'm also going to be giving away 1 jar of his original OG barbecue sauce right here, the Mangold's 74 barbecue sauce. And believe me, nobody makes barbecue sauce better than an NFL offensive lineman. All you got to do to be eligible to win is subscribe to my YouTube channel and drop a 74 down there in the comment section, and you could win 1 of the 2 jars that I'm giving away. I am cross-running this giveaway on my Instagram page. If you want a second shot to win, follow me at Alec_Lace. The link is right down there in the description as well. So let's get going with today's interview with NFL All-Pro center Nick Mangold here on First Class Fatherhood. Joining me now, First Class Father, Nick Mangold. Welcome to First Class Fatherhood.
Hey, thank you for having me.
All right, let's start it right here. How many kids do you have, and how old are they?
I've got 4 kids. Let's see if I can get it right. They're 9, 5, 3, and 18 months.
Wow, very cool. What's the split up?
So it's boy, girl, just like we planned. But it's been neat seeing, having 1 or 2 of each. How similar and how different they are. And I don't think we're doing anything different as parents, but it's just their own personalities.
Yeah, I'm right there with you. We have 4 kids ourselves, and we got the 3 boys, then the girl on the 4th try. So
nice.
What type of sports or activities are they into?
So the older one he's a football kid. I coached 3rd grade football this year. We had a grand old time. He likes basketball. He likes we were doing lacrosse this spring until everything happened. And so he dabbles in a lot. We don't force him into anything, but we tell him he's got to do something each season and let him choose. The other ones, my daughter's big into ballet, dancing. And then the little guy, the 3-year-old, I think he's taken towards soccer. He's probably the most athletic one that we have. So it'll be interesting to see what his path goes.
Yeah, that's awesome. I just got introduced to the ballet and then this year gymnastics myself before everything started to go down. So it's interesting to see the other side of it. If you could, Nick, please just take a minute here to hit my listeners with a little bit about your background and what you do.
Yeah, so I played football at Ohio State University, the Ohio State University. Played 11 years in the NFL for the New York Jets, and now I'm retired. Have been for 3 years. I started a barbecue sauce company. And I'm a dad to 4, and so that's my life in a nutshell.
Yeah, very cool. I'm going to hit on the barbecue sauce in just a minute here. So, how old were you then, Nick? When you first became a dad, and how did becoming a father kind of change your perspective on life?
Ooh, all right, I got to do the math. 9. I was 26 when I became a dad for the first time, and it was amazing. It was amazing. The biggest thing that caught me was as we're coming out of the hospital. You were there 2 or 3 days. And we're walking out, and they drop you off at the front door, and I go get the car, and we load them up in the car seat, and we both sit down, and we're like, so they're just letting us leave with them? Like, there's no other tests I have to do? Like, I had to do more tests for my driver's license than I did for, a human. So it was life-changing. It was neat seeing, how my life was now taken care of. Because I've always, we were married. We were married 4 or 5 years before we had children. So it was always my wife and I always felt like I was taking care of her and I was responsible for her. But now to have a life in my hands, who, is just laying there, sleeping, eating, doing its business. It was crazy, but it gave me so much more energy and so much more excitement that, I get to do this for him.
Yeah, very well said. And I'm right there with you. I remember that first car ride home from you've driven 1,000 times, but all of a sudden it takes on a whole different meaning, that first ride home from the hospital with your first kid. And for my wife and I, the transition of going, I always like to ask this to dads that got as many or more than I do. For us, going from 2 to 3 kids was the most challenging of the denomination change for us. What would you say it was for you as far as going from which number of kids to the next?
For me personally, it was going from 3 to 4. We had our 4th. I always said, once you're at 3, I always compare the number of kids you have to a defense. When you have 1, you're playing, double team man. When you have 2, it's man on man. And then when you have 3, you're in zone. So I figured, 4, we're already playing zone anyways. How hard could it be? But it also coincided. She was the only one that was born while I wasn't playing. So I was home a lot more, and that was a huge transition. Probably took about 4 months for me to get out of that newborn fog and realize life still goes on, and I got to figure out how working life with 4 kids instead of 3 kids is going to work, because it wasn't working at the time. So it was 3 to 4 for me was huge.
Yeah, you kind of go to that prevent defense at that point, right?
Yeah, well, now we've added an extra defender, so our oldest does a lot more parenting than he probably should.
Yeah, that's what helped us going from 3 to 4. Is my oldest is actually his birthday is today. He's 14, so it's like,
happy birthday.
Yeah, when we had our third one, they weren't quite there yet. So it was like having them where they weren't old enough to really take care of themselves and do things independently, like, brush their teeth and change themselves. Like when you still had to do that with the toddlers and then have the infant, it made for that first year was like one long day for us. And then they were older for the fourth one, so they were able to help us out more with the fourth kid. So that did make our transition a little easier with the fourth. What are some of the values that you're hoping to top values that you're hoping to instill in your kids?
I think the big thing for me is love of family, of doing things the right way, being disciplined. If you have something to do, you do it and get it done. Seeing things through, like we won't let them quit something. If they halfway through, I'm done. I don't want to do this anymore. Well, you got to finish because you signed up and you started. So those are the big ones for us. Enjoying the family time. We try to spend as much as possible. Especially now that we have a ton of free time. It's something that I think having a close family and having, your siblings is something special.
Yeah, very well said. And I want to jump over here now to your barbecue sauce. Those watching on YouTube here, I'm holding them up. It's Mangold's 74 barbecue sauce. We got the sweet with a little heat and a little sweet with a whole lot of heat. I went over to the Hickory Tree Deli. I picked up a bunch of jars so I can have some. I tasted the hot. It's really good. We had it with some chicken yesterday or the day before. And so I'm going to give away a jar of each to the listeners out there. So if you're not watching this on YouTube, get over to my YouTube channel, subscribe, and then drop a 74 in the comments. I'm going to pick a winner. One's going to get the hot. One's going to get the sweet. Nick, what was the genesis of the 74 barbecue sauce? What can you tell the listeners about it?
So this was my wife is very smart and sneaky. My first Father's Day, I believe she got me a big green egg, and I had it, and I enjoyed it, but I didn't really know what to do with it. And then a while, about 4 years after that, we got an assistant offensive line coach who is he's a professional barbecue judge in Montana, and he sucked me in. He came over, he held my hand, showed me how to do brisket, pulled pork, and from that point on, I just fell in love with it. And so as I was going along, I was going to the store and buying barbecue sauce, and I thought to myself, I think I could make something better. So probably about 4 years ago, I started tinkering, finding recipes online, trying things out, switching things here and there. I came up with one that I liked, and everyone always, anytime you feed somebody something in front of them, they're not going to tell you it's bad. So it got a good response, but I was like, I don't believe anybody, because they're not going to tell me no. So I was with my guy, who's my partner in this, and he said, you know what, we should sell this. I was like, listen, I know you like it, but I don't know if anybody else likes it. And he goes, all right, you know what I'm going to do? Make me a batch. I'll take it around to a couple people. I won't tell them anything about it. I'll just tell them to try it. And then, we'll see. It came back with a great response. And so we decided that, all right, let's go with it. This was about little over a year ago. We started the process because I had the sauces. I just didn't have the ability to, jar them and everything. So learning about label design, logo design, bottle selection, the whole process of distribution, it's been life-changing because it's a whole new world for me. But it was a lot of fun. And as we were going through the process, I wanted the opportunity to have my family involved in it and to have a charity component. So my family being involved, right now we have 2 sauces out. I'm hoping to expand to 4 as soon as we can, because each one is going to coincide with one of my kids. So the OG, the sweet with a little heat, that's my firstborn son, and the OG spicy is my second son, because he is a carbon copy of the OG, but he's just a firecracker. And then I have some ideas for sweet sauces for my two daughters. And the charity component is we work with Answer the Call, who works with families of fallen first responders here in New York City. And they do amazing work. And I've been with them probably 6 years now. And this is an opportunity for me to, a portion of the proceeds of each bottle will go to them. And so I can help them not only, with my beautiful smiling face, but also, with a little bit of money too. So it's been a lot of fun. It's neat having a passion project that seems to be taking off a little bit. And it's been just a fun learning experience.
Yeah, I love the vision, Nick, and I love the mission that you're on here with it. And like I said, I just want to show it again there. And I love the packaging. It's delicious. And if anybody should know how to make a barbecue sauce, it should be an NFL offensive lineman, I would think. So I wish you the best of luck. Now, if the listeners want to buy a jar of it, is it available online now, or is it in-store only? How does that work?
We're available online. We have been for about the past month or so. So it's 74bbq.com, 74 spelled out. We're hoping to get distribution in the grocery stores. That was we had a whole big plan, media extravaganza, and then this happened. So we're going slow, but we're still able to ship and produce. So we're grinding it out as we go through this.
Very cool. Yeah, I'm going to drop a link in the description of the podcast episode. This way my listeners can tap the link, get over there, buy a jar. And if you guys just subscribe to YouTube and drop a 74 in the comments, and you have a shot to win a jar of the sauce here, one of the sweet, one of the hot. And talk about what this is going on right now. We're right in the middle of this coronavirus pandemic. You have 4 kids like myself. I've added the homeschool teacher, but I got to be honest, the teacher has been doing a great job with the kids getting on there, doing the stuff online. How has it affected you, and how's your family been handling it?
Yeah, the teachers have been amazing, having to deal with this whole new world. It's funny as people talk about we're doing homeschooling now. One of the other fathers that I'm friendly with, he goes, "Listen, I'm not doing homeschooling. I'm doing crisis schooling. Homeschooling, you get to take them to zoos, and those people choose to do it. Like we didn't get to choose any of this. So it's kind of crazy. We have it's 3rd grade, pre-K 4, and pre-K 3. It's a little adventurous. My 3rd grader needs a little bit of hand holding because I think he knows that's his only way to get full attention. So he's sneaky as well, but it's been neat having him home and being able to spend time together. We've spent a lot of time outdoors in the backyard playing. We're doing a lot of grilling and smoking, which is a fantastic opportunity. And just trying to make the best of it. We planted this is a good one. It was Arbor Day last week, I think. And my wife came up with the idea and said, "Hey, let's plant a tree. But we're going to call it our corn tree." And, that way 20 years from now, the kids can look back and say, "Oh, we planted this, when we were going through that." And hopefully it reminds them of all the good times that we were able to hopefully have while going through this.
Yeah, that's incredible, Nick. I love that. And I think I do a little bit of a disjustice too when I say that I'm homeschooling. I think in the beginning it was kind of like a little more tongue in cheek, but it would definitely take away from the people who are actually homeschooling and from the teachers that are doing their job there. So it's more of just trying to get them in front of the computer now, which is it's kind of weird because we're always telling them to stay away from the technology. Now we're like, get on that computer there. What are you doing?
Why aren't you getting more screen time?
Yeah. And getting back into your NFL career, Nick, I know you were playing with some injuries there towards the end. With the fact that you became a father, did that play into you retiring from the NFL, or was it the time was just right for you?
The time was right. I think it was a perfect storm of injury finished it off, and I had enough time off while I was rehabbing that I really enjoyed spending time with the kids. I think that all kind of combined where it just made it the right time to call it quits. I was able to play for one team. I'm really proud of that I spent my whole career with one team. And so that it was all kind of it was a handful of factors that mixed in.
Yeah, good stuff. And what about a big old offensive lineman here? What I'm sure you have a lot of discipline when it comes to playing football, but what do you like as a disciplinarian, as a father, and is it different than the discipline style that you grew up with?
Yeah, it's a little different than what I grew up with, but I think I'm the disciplined one. They know that mommy will send them straight to daddy if need be. But I think you got to be tough, but you also got to hug. And I think it's we'll find out in 20 years if it works. And that's the crazy part. You do all this and you have no idea how it's going to go. You just keep your fingers crossed and hope for the best.
Yeah, just to get your opinion on this, Nick, I love to ask all the NFL players that I get on the show here, just because it's a difficult decision for a lot of dads, a lot of parents out there, whether or not to let their kids play tackle football with everything that's been going on out there, the reports about the concussions and all that. How do you kind of feel about young kids playing tackle football, and what's a good age for them to start?
Yeah, I think a good age for them to start is whenever the kid and the parents are comfortable. I can't put a number on it. My son's 9. He played his first year of tackle football this year. That's the same age I started. I think you have to be smart about it. You got to pay attention to your child. You got to pay attention to how the coaches are doing things. And, you just can't take your eye off the ball. But to say like, oh, they can't play till 6th grade, I think does a disservice to some of the kids. Because I think football, the game of it, the teamwork, the camaraderie, the discipline of it is good for kids. And, I think that as long as you're smart about it, you pay attention to the kids, it can be done the right way.
Well said. What's next for you here, Nick? I know you got the sauce that you're working on now. Well, what other kind of projects you have? What does the future hold for you? What kind of goals you have for what's coming up next for you?
Well, I think the biggest thing is getting these next 2 sauces put out. That's my goal. We're going to grind through that so that way I have the family of 4 ready to go. And then, until my kids get old enough, they're in full-time school and they get tired of daddy being around, I think I'm going to, try to spend as much time as I can with them. And after that, I'll see where the road takes me.
Yeah, that's pretty impressive too. Father, NFL offensive lineman with an aunt that's an Olympian. What's your relationship like with the kids and with your sister there? They have a good relationship. What's that like when she comes over?
Yeah, it's they love it. She still lives back in Ohio, so she doesn't get up as much. But they always love when Aunt Holly comes over. It's funny seeing them, seeing my sister with my kids, because it's just you never think of that when you're growing up, but now now it's reality. So it's pretty cool, and they're pretty fortunate to have a U.S. Olympian in the family.
Yeah, incredible stuff. And last thing I want to hit you with here, Nick, I love to ask all the dads that I get on the podcast, what type of advice do you have for the new dad or for that about-to-be father who's out there listening?
Enjoy every time. Don't rush things. I remember with our son, he was getting to be 4 or 5, and he was starting to kind of shake a little bit like he was going to crawl. And I was so excited for the next steps. It was like, oh, I can't wait till he crawls. But you miss things along the way. And it's neat seeing how I want to slow everybody down now after wanting always the next step for my oldest. Every child after that, I'm like, oh, you don't need to walk yet, it'll come, just stay young. So I think that's a big thing. Don't rush it and enjoy the moment.
Yeah, well said. I love the message. This has been an honor for me. I got to say, Nick Mangold, you're a first-class father all the way, and thank you so much for giving me a few minutes of your time here on First Class Fatherhood.
Hey, thank you for having me. I really appreciate it.